Finding the Baroness by M. Brown. Narrated by Dan Lee. Chapter 1. £10,000 if he will seduce the Baroness Debarlow. Montague Edwards eyed the Earl of Frotham without evincing emotion, though he could have choked on the snuff he had just inhaled. £10,000. The sum reverberated gloriously in his ears. The invitation from Frotham had come as surprise enough, for Montague barely knew the Earl and his family. The aforementioned proposition was beyond expectation. The old man, frowning from behind his large mahogany writing table, appeared not to be jesting, if such a jest fell within the inclinations of the Earl, which Montague doubted. Without word, Montague took another pinch of snuff and replaced his snuff-box into his waistcoat pocket. He should have leaped without question at such an opportunity, but he wanted time to quiet his excitement. How often did one come across £10,000? He had come to London, despite his aversion to the season, to seek that which he had never craved or thought he needed: a wife. To be precise, he needed funds. A wife, with the proper endowment, was simply a means to that end. 5 and 10, then, the Earl, mistaking Montague's silence, amended. The man was desperate, Montague surmised, as he noted his surroundings. The silk-lined walls of the library, the stately furnishings, and paintings mounted in gilded frames all suggested Frotham had the means to make such an offer, but appearances could deceive. Clearly something important was at stake for Frotham to state such an outlandish proposal. Montague wondered what it could be. His dispassion appeared to rankle the Earl, who tried unsuccessfully to suppress the irritation from his voice. "Are you not in need of £5,000 and £10,000, sir?" Frotham asked. "Many a young man of standing would want years to generate such income. One could do much with such an amount." Only a fool would not recognize that fact, Montague thought wryly. But he had no wish to offend the Earl into withdrawing the proposition at hand. Instead, Montague responded, "You mistake my years. I am hardly deemed callow with 34 years to my name. Shall we agree it be no paltry sum for any man?" "Indeed. Are you so desirous then to part with it?" Frotham had a pronounced jaw, and it jutted out with displeasure. He might have presented a handsome man in his youth, but a rich diet had made his jowls more prominent, and his constant battle with the gout had rendered his countenance surly. "I understand you are short in the way of funds," the Earl countered. Montague stiffened. Choosing not to respond immediately to such a pointed statement, he took a seat on the richly upholstered settee. Crossing one leg over the other, he studied his shoes. He had spent more than he ought to have on his pair of silver buckles, but he could not expect to entice a woman of wealth without the proper attire. £5,000 and £10,000 could buy a great number of buckles. It was enough to save Chelton. It would eliminate the need to marry. "And that is why you have chosen me to receive your generous offer?" Montague asked, calmly raising a brow. He was met with a tight smile. "The reputation you have in Bath precedes you, sir," Frotham answered. "I am familiar with your conquests, shall we say?" Frotham's frown and humorless eyes indicated the statement was not intended as flattery. Montague suspected he was not favoured by the Earl, but that mattered not. "And you wish me to apply myself to this Baroness Debarlow? Why?" Frotham shifted uncomfortably. "That is my concern. Yours is the £10,000 should you prove successful." 5 and 10, Montague corrected, "and that shall be considered a mark of success where the Baroness is concerned. Is it sufficient that I bed her once? Twice?" "You can bed her as often as you like," Frotham bristled. "Or as little. The Baroness Debarlow must be homely indeed to require £5,000 and £10,000 as recompense. There are many who would consider her pleasing to the eye, though she has not half the refinement of features."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?